I mop, 30 minutes, 40 minutes I'm mopping. I like it in Twilight Zone. And it's like, what the, am I going insane? Is the mop bucket leaking? No, none of those things. Finally, we figured out, we moved the furniture out. I keep moving the water out, and look.
It's still piling up.
Hello, welcome to Frank and Angie's channel, where we discuss the retire early lifestyle, whether it's at home or abroad. Thanks for coming to our channel. We've been here 5 months and that's still going on. That's one thing about living in buildings as opposed to a detached house, which is more common in the States, which is what we had, a house on 3.5 acres. And we did have one detached house, but the detached houses abroad aren't really, in a lot of cases. Now there are some, but they're considered really high value. And there's a lot of demand for them from foreigners. But generally speaking, even the houses, what they call houses, are connected. So you can hear any little thing, even though you have a house with a little yard. Angela was saying the other day, or I forget which one was saying it, but in every place we've been, in every building that we've been, there's been construction in every single building we've been in. There's always been construction. But this is five months later.
Whenever they start, we start.
What was I gonna say? I was just thinking, can you imagine if we had bought this apartment? I mean, a lot of people go abroad, to retire early, retire better, or what is it that they tell people, live abroad for half the cost of at home and live in paradise, and all the wonderful reasons to go abroad, which are all good reasons. But I just thinking about how people could go out there and they rush into this thing and they buy. Imagine if we had bought this apartment with all this racket. And I was just saying earlier that almost every apartment building we've been in has been like this. It's been rackety. But it reminds me of this one guy that I read about, that he bought a luxury apartment in where all the really rich, influential people lived in that same building. And he spent like $10 million on it. And after he bought the apartment, the whole building started sinking, and apparently it had some kind of, something went wrong, and the whole building started sinking on one side. And I thought to myself, can you imagine having spent $10 million and whatever it is that most people have to do to even get to that level of money where you have $10 million to spend, and then to have a fiasco like that happen to you? What a great disappointment. For me, we paid $300, and I can move tomorrow if I want. The way I set things up, I don't ever lose a penny. The expats come out here and they donate money to landlords all the time and stuff. We don't do that. We don't recommend that. But people that follow the RAM shills and people like that, Retire Abroad Media magazines, they're taught to donate deposits to landlords and stuff. And a lot of these landlords are already rich, so they need your deposit. So go ahead and keep donating. But it's just, the conversation is about how the way we do things. Because I just got a commenter that said, and I've heard this before, so it's not just about that commenter. I've heard this before from people. I've worked all my life. I deserve to live it up, and I don't have any problem with that. But the attitude that goes along with that is attached to the way people spend money, there's issues with that. Because, it sounds like he's not going to be living it up unless he spends $3,000 a month in rent. And my experience is, from working with expats and observation, is that typically with that kind of attitude, people will come down to these places and they'll spend their $3,000 for something that was going for $1,000 or less before they got there. So, you see my point. It doesn't matter what financial level you're at. Yeah, I don't know if I make that point clear sometimes in my videos. It's not about how much you can afford. It's about what is the local economy? What do locals spend? What do local wealthier middle class locals spend on such and such, Instead, you just come out here throwing money around. Well, anyway, money conversations, boring, right? Does it look like I'm missing anything? Those are good for your immune system, by the way. And last but not least, I've got my purple fermented sourdough bread. Fermented sourdough bread goes real well with my $300 apartment. All right, I'm rubbing it in. So I know what some of you are thinking already. And people say things just to have a debate, not based on any real experience or facts or knowledge. For example, I could just hear you saying, well, could it be that the reason why there's always construction? Now, do you see anything wrong with this apartment? It's in a pretty decent area of town, close to everything. The building's new. And we've stayed in so many different ones. Could it be the price range? That's why there's always, no, because when we went to Panama, and we used to have a Patreon where people could support the channel through Patreon, and we put this video on our Patreon because we were putting videos on our Patreon that we were not putting, on the YouTube videos. And so some of you, not very many of you, have seen this video and you know what I'm talking about. But we went to Panama and stayed beachfront for I don't know how long, a month or a few weeks. And of course we paid the prevailing rates, which were not $300, not in Panama. And there was such a huge fiasco. You would have thought this luxury beachfront building with a brand new furnished apartment, beautiful views, beautiful beachfront, pool, everything that you expect. 2 pools actually, and we paid up. We paid up for it, although we did negotiate a little bit. Which, by the way, she said we were the only ones that negotiated. I couldn't believe it. Americans don't do it. Well, anyway, yeah, there was a huge fiasco there. There was a huge... There was a huge construction fault in the building that caused major flooding in the apartment every time it rained. They have a dry season, but it's not every day, it's just on video days. And if you think you want to come live abroad and you just don't think about the reasons why you want to live abroad too hard, you just buy into this mentality that things are going to be perfect for you, I would caution people to rethink their thinking.
Oh, it was worse, way worse than this.
Look at how the water is going all the way under the bed. It just started out with a little tiny bit of water. Look outside, it's not raining. So
keep mopping and there's nobody in this building to help us either.
It's just the oddest thing. I don't know where it's coming from. Sacamos agua de aquí. Entonces no sé por qué viene el agua de aquí.
Well, we're at the tail end of this flooding problem in a resort area, Panama Beach Resort. Now, the maintenance people don't seem concerned. They're obviously already aware of it. They already know what the problem is. Strange leak, water coming from under a wall, just continuous water coming as if there was a hose open, which is the oddest thing. I thought I was going insane because I kept mopping. I mop, 30 minutes, 40 minutes I'm mopping, I like it in Twilight Zone. And it's like, what the, you know, am I going insane? Is the mop bucket leaking? No, none of those things. Finally we figured out and moved the furniture out. I keep moving the water out and look.
It's still piling up.
It just makes me think that whoever bought these may have bought these off plan, you know, buying them before they're really finished. And then you pay for it, and then there's no incentive to do a super job on them. But even if they do a super job on them, even though they got paid in advance, once the place is done and paid for, they don't seem to do anything about the problem, because it's here. Water coming in from underneath the wall after a heavy rain.
We had to move all the furniture.
Yeah, it's not likely something that just developed just like that. Because if the gutter system was clogged, the maintenance people would be busy unclogging it, wouldn't they? Yeah, they would, but they're not. They're very nonchalant, they don't care. This tells me they're already aware of this, and they know that there's nothing they can do about it. It's just inherent in the bad construction. Somebody made a mistake in the construction. Just from a short vacation, gone awry. Yeah, we've had a couple of them go awry. The other time we were in a budget hotel that had a quasi-fire in the middle of the night, and that place was old. This place is new, so what's their excuse? Water keeps coming. What is this, hour and a half later? I just wanted to mention that we had the two maintenance young guys up here, and I explained to them and I showed them, and they saw the water coming from under the wall. So it's clearly not a problem that is centered, you know, from this apartment. And yet they still haven't called administration or anyone from the building to try to determine what the problem is. Because, look, the apartment next door could be flooding. You know, it's not a leaky sink that you just, you know, call the owner of the apartment and, oh, hey, the sink's leaking. That's not what it is. It's going from somewhere else. So, yeah, you know. Is smoke coming out of my ears yet? But you can't see it. Sit here and sweep water all day until somebody gets here. I'll tell you, I've learned something. Next time, you know, I pay for the place half, and I pay the other half when I'm done.
Here we are in Coronado trying to enjoy some beach. And our place is flooded.
You have to sit here and sweep this water out. If you just sit down and relax on the bed, the water keeps coming and then it starts going all under the beds and the whole room's flooded. Here's an update. Some people wrote in and asked me, how's it going with the herbs? And here's how it's going. If feeling great is 100, then where I was would be, say, 50, right? Just as a comparison. So feeling great's 100, and when I made that video about not feeling well due to lack of sleep and such, altitude, I was at 50. So after taking the herbs and the oxygen, I'm at 60, 65. So that gives you a numerical picture there. And 60, 65 instead of 50, yeah, it's an improvement, it's better, but it's not 100. Not back to normal, folks, not out of the woods. But we're still working on it. Thank you for watching the video and have a nice day.